All right, and hello everybody, and welcome to another podcast. This is your host Sean, and today I have a very special interview here today. I'm with some friends of mine here at the other podcast I was just on last week for Mortal Kombat and Falcon Winter Soldier. I thank them so much for that. Thank you guys so much. I'm here to introduce the Creative Differences members, Demi and Colin. Welcome, guys.
Thanks for having us. And thanks for joining us last week.
Yeah,
Of
this is a
course.
cool crossover thing.
Oh yeah, this is the epic crossover more so than Injustice or like Mortal Kombat versus DC Universe or even Avengers Endgame.
And
Just
it
kidding.
didn't cost millions and millions of dollars.
Oh, it didn't. It cost us nothing to get here.
Absolutely nothing.
It just cost us a Zencaster account and a button to click, and that was it. All right, so I just have a few questions for these guys here. I don't want to take up too much of their time, but it's for a school project as well. Just a little interview that I have to do here. I just want to interview them about um, what was the thought process behind Creative Differences and like what inspired them to do it essentially, and just like general basic questions like regarding around media and stuff like that. So the first question I have for you guys is what inspired everyone here to collaborate together to make Creative Differences? And I'll start with Demise.
Oh, that's an interesting question. Oh, so, well, initially what happened was their Creative Differences is actually a collaboration of 4 people. It is Dallas, who is not here, Gabby, who is also not here, Colin, and myself. And the 4 of us were involved in a different podcast a few years ago. That podcast ended up becoming disbanded due to a number of things, and we decided that we would continue on our own as a completely new podcast, and kind of try and reformat the way that we were reviewing movies and the different content that we were providing through our podcast. I got dragged into it, to be fair, though.
And Colin, what inspired you to join this journey?
Okay, listen, you didn't get dragged into it. Demi likes to do this thing where she's like, I'm not a member of the podcast. This is your thing.
I got dragged into this.
Here. And it's like, no, you are a constant participant. You participate in so much of the not even just the podcast, the editing, that's you. The scheduling is mostly you and Dallas. You can't say you're not a member of this. Also, why would you not want to be a member of this? What are we, are you ashamed of us? Is that what this is?
What's funny is that's actually how I ended up getting super involved, was that they needed somebody who could edit and do the graphic design and stuff like that. And so I was like, well, yeah, I'll do all that stuff for you. And then I ended up co-hosting way more often than I probably should or want to. But yeah, that's where we're at now. Colin, why did you decide to continue on this journey?
Because I like y'all. Like, that's the thing, is like, I don't know. I mean, it was the kind of thing, I think a lot of podcasts probably start the same way, which is a lot of people think, well, we're having this conversation. It's pretty enjoyable. We could just record this and put this on the internet. And that's basically what our podcast is, right? It's us talking about the things that already interest us. I like doing that. I like talking with y'all. So why not put it on the internet for the world? Like, yeah.
We do try and get Colin to talk more than he actually does, but I guess it's only fair that he doesn't talk much in real life, so he doesn't talk much on the podcast.
See, exactly, right? I have opinions, and 9 times out of 10, my opinions are very different from the rest of y'all's, and I just don't want to stir the pot too much.
But hey, that's why we're called Creative Differences.
Right, but I'm just saying, if we're talking about, say, let's say any Marvel show that just ended, and y'all are going like, all right, this is how I feel about this is how about that, and then I come in and like, hey, let me go on an anti-capitalist rant for 20 minutes. Nobody actually wants that.
I'm sure that there are people out there who would love to listen to you go on an anti-capitalist rant.
I'm telling you, I'm 20 pages into the Communist Manifesto. I can make this work.
Anyway. I mean, we did last week in our other podcast for Falcon and Mortal Kombat. It's funny because I remember Colin specifically like going for the opinion of I love the Flag Smashers and
He's not wrong,
what was and Carly.
I do. I 100% do.
and he's valid in that opinion. He's absolutely correct.
Oh,
I think it is kind of you to say that, but I think literally the showrunners would tell me you're wrong. Like,
That's okay.
it's
They
yeah,
don't have
they
to
would
say
probably say
anymore. They already
otherwise.
released the show.
It's true. It's very, very true. This next question I have for you guys is very. I know it's very like, what the heck? Because like I know the answer to this, but I might as well say it because for the podcast, of course. How did everyone meet before this podcast started?
oh boy.
We all actually met
What?
in very different ways, depending on which person, which
Oh
Yeah.
well,
Which couplet?
between both, I guess between the both of you, I guess for this matter,
How
because
did we meet?
me and Colin have
Oh.
known each other since middle school, but we've been friends
Yeah.
since high school.
Yes.
Oh really?
Yeah.
I thought I did. Oh, I got that mistaken. Then I thought you guys knew each other since ArcLight. I
No.
thought you guys know each other the
No, no, no,
longest.
no,
Yeah,
no.
no, we
I
actually.
mean, yes, we have.
Actually, I think I've known Gabby longer than I've known you because I've known Gabby since sixth
since
grade.
yeah, the thing.
So I've known Gabby since middle school, but we didn't go to the same schools. Me and her went to the same summer programs every year throughout middle school and high school. I met Colin in middle school because we went to the same middle school, and then we became friends in high school because we went to the same high school. And then we met Dallas while working at ArcLight, and Dallas met Gabby because they went to the same high
Mhm.
school. So we've all got very different
Man, all this.
meetings, and then we all kind of came together through
It's
knowing
like
each other.
a weird it's like a weird interconnected web, you know, just like it's like, oh, this person met this way, this person met that way, and it's like, oh, it comes together for creative differences and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's actually how
Well,
it
I
happened.
mean,
Yeah.
the thing is, like, us meeting each other is one thing, but I feel like our job was kind of the linchpin of it because
Mhm.
Yeah.
me,
So
I think,
yeah.
Demi started there first out of all of us.
I worked at ArcLight first, and then Dallas showed up, and then you showed up, and then Gabby started
Yeah.
coming to movies with Dallas.
Pretty
So
much.
in case everyone doesn't know, all three of us used to work at ArcLight Cinemas in Pasadena, and I worked there for nearly 3 years, but Demi and Colin have been there longer than I have. Demi, how long have you been there again? You've been there for like a very long time.
It's very hard for me to like calculate it because I took a 2-year break in the midst of all of that. I
Mhm.
want to say overall I worked there for 3 years if you add all the time together.
Mm,
But
yeah.
there was a 2-year
Hmm.
gap in the middle of it so that I could go off to college.
Yeah. Colin?
So, okay. I mean, I also had a bit of a gap, but it was only for a summer. So, I guess in total, it would be something along the lines of like 4.5 years.
4.5?
Mhm.
Okay, so you've been there pretty long too, as well.
Trust
Well,
me.
I mean, well, I knew that, but the podcast people who are watching don't know that. The next question I have is the second to last question, actually. So we're actually not there for too long now. So with creative differences being like your go-to podcast right now with all the movies, the news, and TV
Mhm.
for you guys, do you guys have any goals in the future to develop creative differences even more further along the lines, or do you guys feel comfortable enough that it's a good enough like position where you guys are at, or do you guys want to develop more into it?
Okay, so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to paraphrase what Dallas has said, because he says this a lot, that he would like it to get bigger so that he doesn't have to work a soulless job that he hates, which is like, that's a mood, right?
That is a definite
Um,
mood. I would love one take to be like 100,000 subscribers, and I wouldn't have to do any jobs.
See, exactly, right? Like, I'm not that interested in fame as a concept, but like, if my job could just be sitting at a table with people I already like, talking about things I already like,
That
yeah,
sounds beautiful.
Exactly, right? Like I'm already doing it now and it's fun, so why not just do it and like be able to live just doing that? Hell yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Colin makes a point. Yeah, definitely. I think right now our focus is we're trying to build an audience more so than anything else, but we are also constantly coming up with new content to put out. Uh, we do currently have several different series that we do. We do our, movie reviews, which is our main focus, but we've also got our Throwback Thursdays and our Fancast Fridays. And then every year we do our like yearly recap of the year and our look into what the upcoming year is going to be, and that's its own series that takes forever, but has to be done in such a short amount of time. But we do that every year. And then we've started doing trivia episodes as well, just for fun. We've done like top 5 Tuesdays every so often. We're trying to build more episodes and more content as well. But I think our main goal right now is building an audience, and finding an audience that enjoys what we do. And I think the four of us have such different opinions on things, but also similar opinions in certain ways that we can reach all sorts of people. Um, and I think that's cool. So yeah, that's that's would be fun. It would be great to also, for me, since I'm the one who edits everything, it would be great to find somebody who could help me out with that, because I am becoming busier because I do work in film and television outside of doing the actual podcast. So having more people work on the show would be great too. But yeah,
Yeah, uh, Colin told me before we started that you're also a script writer as well, which is really cool.
I am currently
So,
doing a script coordinating. I actually just finished my second ever television production, um, which was a 2-week process, and it was exhausting. It's probably one of the longest 2 weeks I've had in my life. But yeah, I am a script coordinator uh, when I can find the job for it. But I also do television development, and I write my own scripts and develop my own TV series and movies. So yeah, I do that on top of us working on the podcast, uh, both of which take up an incredible amount of time.
sounds super ambitious, and I hope those scripts come to life eventually.
Yeah, that's my ultimate goal. Like I love working on the podcast, but like my thing is that I do want to be I want to be a film director, TV director too, if that comes up. And I want to be a writer. So, you know, the podcast is a lot of fun because it is involving things that I do love and enjoy, but I also want to participate in the industry in a very different way.
And yeah, I think like all of us here have contributed to the industry in some way, like because we love film and TV so much that we just want to like participate in it. We want to be part of the fun of it, you know. So I think that's why we love doing podcasts so much and stuff like that. It's because we want to be part of the news and part of the stories and part of the whole journey of like film and TV. And I think that's why I love being part of the communities and stuff like that, like with you guys with the podcast of Creative Differences. And on that note, before we go, I do have one more question for you guys. Just a little fun capper before we end off. Do you guys have a favorite moment on Creative Differences? Like any funny moments, any great moments that have sticked out to you? I've seen all the episodes. I definitely can name a lot of great moments, but I feel like if they hear it from you guys, it would be even better. So, do you guys have a moment that sticks out when you guys made it? Any episode?
Okay. So like I have a specific moment and then just a general thing. And the specific thing is our I guess it's technically our first episode, but it's episode 0 where we just introduce ourselves, is like just 3 minutes of just perfect a perfect distillation of who we are as people, and I think it's just phenomenal. But in general also there's a running thing that Dallas will do if one of us can't make it for a podcast, but he's in it, he will make up like a fake Twitter name for that person based on whatever was talked about in that episode. And he is extremely good at that every single time.
And it's got to be a horrible one too. It can't be like
Oh,
something that you would
absolutely.
want to be a username. It has to be
No,
something
no.
absolutely horrific that you would never want
Oh
anybody
God.
to have as a username. Usually it's, I gotta be honest, it's usually sexually related of some sort. But
Oh.
sometimes it's just awful. um and I never get one because I'm always, even if I'm not in the podcast, quote unquote, I'm there. I'm always recording, so I never get one because I'm always there. And even if I wasn't there, I would just cut it out because I'm the editor and they have no choice. Um, I don't I don't think I have a specific moment. It's really hard to choose a specific moment because every episode there is something crazy
S-
that is
Sticks.
said
There's something that
or
sticks out.
done. Yeah, there's always something that's going on. There's a number. I feel like almost every episode, if not every episode, there is something that I have to cut from the episode because we've gone maybe a little too far on our tangent. And not everybody needs to hear every thought that comes out of our heads. Um, but uh, yeah, every episode has like a specific moment. And I definitely a general thing that I love is that um again, Dallas does the usernames at the end of the episode for whoever's not there. But Dallas also every week will take time to come up with a very specific opening that also is on theme with whatever we're talking about that day. Um, and he's really good at that. So Dallas is a very dedicated host of our podcast, I must say.
We love our Dallas.
Dallas is great. Dallas is always great. He's always up to the task. But yeah, those are things that I love
Oh
about our
man.
podcast. And I do like that Colin mentioned episode 0 because episode 0 was a very fun time because it was an episode that we knew that we wanted to do like a trailer episode, but we had no idea how we wanted to introduce ourselves to the world. And it just became, let's write a script. And then it took us so long to even figure out what the script would be. And they just kept messing up recording things that it just became, let's just record these mess ups and put them all together.
Well, that sounds like a great time all overall, and it sounds like you guys are doing so well with creative differences so far. So I want to thank you guys so much for being on here, taking your time a little bit off to do some questions with me. And before we go off, I just want to ask, where can they find you guys on the social medias out there?
You can't find Colin.
Well, okay. I mean, in general, you can find the podcast if you look up, I think, just Creative Differences on YouTube. There's actually another account that's Creative Differences, but we're the podcast. They're not a podcast. Should be pretty easy to figure out. I believe the Twitter for the Creative Differences is y'all_different. And I think you find us on Facebook at Creative Differences Pod or Podcast, or it might just be Creative Differences.
Yeah.
Not sure. Anyway,
you can find us on all of the medias.
Pretty much, yeah.
They all have the same
if you
thumbnail.
find,
Once you find the thumbnail, you will know which one is us.
they do. It's a microphone with a
Oh
C
yeah,
and a D.
they'll
on
definitely
it.
know.
It's very obvious. And then if you want to find me specifically, I don't use social media much, but if I do, I am on Twitter. You can find me at Duck McGuck, where you can talk to me about, I don't know, you can talk to me about like movies and TV, but know that my opinions are different.
Different.
You're safer talking to him about anime, but also his opinions will probably be different. You guys can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Dreamy Films. Dreamy is spelled DREEMI.
Well, thank you guys so much again for joining me, and I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. And I'll see you guys next time. See you later, guys.
This day should be great. We're playing D&D later.
Oh, that
yeah.
sounds wonderful.